StudyIQ IAS, अब तैयारी हुई अफोर्डेबल।
Hello, namaskar. My name is Pooja Dwivedi. Welcome to my class, The Daily Current Affairs, where you will learn not only about the important events of the past 24 to 48 hours, but also the importance of developing skills when it comes to solving prelims questions. Many students ask me that, ma'am, should I make notes or not? Do not make notes, because I will provide you the notes on my Telegram channel, but that is by the name of Pooja Dwivedi UPSC. If you have any questions regarding whatever I teach here or with respect to strategy making, you can become a part of my Instagram channel as well. On my Telegram channel, I also conduct regularly answer writing sessions and tests which I evaluate. Okay, so be a part of it. Other than this, we are going to cover these many events. Pharmaceutical industry of India, with respect to this, I asked a prelims questions, previous question, and many of you have answered it incorrectly. Why? We'll see that. Other than this, these are the many other topics we have to cover. Before I go on with the class, we are launching a very fresh session, the Aranya series for environment and ecology, that will be conducted by Bhuvan Apurva Jha sir. Today will be the first class and you have to tune in, because it is important to understand the trends of UPSC. In this first class, first of all, sir will teach about trends, talk about trends. So do ensure that you become a part of this class. Your environment will become really nice after that, after you continuously go through these classes. Alright, so let's move ahead and talk about the practice question. Consider the following statements. India is the world's third largest pharma industry by production volume. India's import dependence on China remains as much high as 90 to 100% for some critical raw materials. So, which of the statements given above is or are correct? In terms of production volume, that means the amount of any commodity a company is able to produce is basically production volume. So India is the world's third largest pharma industry when it comes to the amount that we produce. Do you know right now we are standing at $50 billion in the pharmaceutical industry. By the year 2024, we are expecting to become $55 billion. Then by the year 2030, we are expecting to become a $130 billion of pharma industry. But despite all this, we are highly dependent on China for some raw materials. Did you even know to manufacture pharmaceuticals such as paracetamol, penicillin, even ibuprofen, vitamin B12, we are highly dependent on China, and that is ranging from 90 to 100%. So we have to diversify our dependency. First of all, we do not want to be dependent on any other country, but still we are on China. So both these statements are actually correct. Option C will be the correct answer, both 1 and 2. And very few of you have answered it correctly. Why? I don't know. Maybe you were not very attentive, because it's important to be attentive when we read any article. So this is the basic aim of this class, to ensure that you are attentive in whatever I teach here. Okay. So option C, Simran has answered it correctly. Mandeep has answered it correctly. Even Kaushik has answered it correctly. Tarun has answered it correctly. Om Sharma has answered it correctly. And temporary creation, Abhishek. These students have answered it correctly. What about the rest? Please pay attention whenever you read any article. Okay, so pharmaceutical industry in India is expected to reach, I have already told you about these. We are the major exporter of pharmaceuticals to over 200 plus countries. When it comes to generics, we export 50% to Africa, 50%, over 50%, 40% to the United States of America, and 25% of all medicine in the UK. For vaccination as well, we are doing great. We will talk about that. So medical tourism, that means if any person wants to get medical help in India and they're coming from abroad, it is known as medical tourism. In our country, we are so much better than US, Europe, South Asia. India is doing great here. Other than this, India has the highest number of US approved compliant plants outside the US. Other than this, we have a very strong drug manufacturing industry. I have already told you about that. So India also accounts for over 60% of global vaccine demand. It's a leading supplier when it comes to vaccines for BCG, DPT and measles. 70% of the WHO's vaccines are sourced from India. These are the regular immunization program for polio and everything else. So this answers the very big question, how could India defeat the COVID-19 through vaccination? It was because of that only. So I've already told you about this. We are the world's third largest production volume country when it comes to drugs and medicines. Nearly 8% is captured by us, but imports from China remain high for important drugs such as paracetamol, penicillin, ibuprofen, and even vitamin B12, among others. With respect to the Nasha Mukt Bharat Abhiyan, consider the following statements. It has two-pronged approach, including outreach and awareness and rehabilitation. The implementation is done at a district level while the monitoring is done at the central level. The nodal agency for this scheme is the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. See, this is both concept-based and fact-based. Fact is, of course, you have to know it. You will know it by reading. Concept, when you understand that how is any strategy formed. If supply is too much, we may not be able to take care of the other parts of it. I'm talking about drugs. If we are continuously in a state where supply is not being prohibited, what is the value of awareness and rehabilitation? So this is concept. Then implementation is done as district level and monitoring is done as central level. This is also concept. Any policy, you are going to become a bureaucrat. When the government will recruit you, you will implement the policy at the district level. And who will monitor your work? It will be the central level. So that they can see what is the uniformity among different districts. Why your district is performing better than others or not better than others. So second is also concept. And third is fact as well as concept. Whenever any social schemes are developed, who takes care of it? Generally, it is the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Okay, so from that perspective only you have to think about it. So what do we have to see? How many statements given above is or are correct? First statement is not correct because it has a three-pronged approach. First, supply control by Narcotics Control Bureau, supply prohibition. Second, outreach and awareness has to be done. That is under the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. To make the youth aware the ills of drugs. And then those who have already suffered from this crisis, they are rehabilitated through different health programs. So there are three-pronged approach. That means three areas of approach. 1, 2, 3 prongs. And then implementation is, yes, taken care of by the district magistrate from the district level. Then overall monitoring is done through the central government, which is of course through Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. And third is definitely correct. The first is incorrect, second and third, these two are correct. Two only will be the correct answer. Recently in the Mann Ki Baat address, the Prime Minister has lauded VADA. VADA means Victory Against Drug Abuse. These are local clubs in Chandigarh which raise awareness about the ills of drugs and drug abuse. So Nasha Mukt Bharat was also, this scheme was also hailed during the Mann Ki Baat, in which the Prime Minister said that it was launched on August 2020 with the same objective and India is doing great, and it was on 15th of August. Now this year we will complete 3 years. We will enter into the 4th year of it. So Nasha Mukt Bharat Abhiyan, 15th August 2020 is the date when it was launched, and 272 districts were identified which were extremely vulnerable to drug abuse. That means in these districts, the youth and others were very prone to abusing drugs, continuously using drugs. And it has a three-pronged approach. First of all, supply curb or control, that is taken care of by the Narcotics Control Bureau. Then we have outreach awareness, that is taken care of by the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. After that, treatment facilities, so that rehabilitation can take place. We can make these victims and survivors free of any drug abuse. This is by existing IRCAs and ATFs to be set up by AIMS. Okay, so these are the important three-pronged approach. Now, gone are the days when UPSC is going to ask you about specifically only the date of launch. They are going into deeper levels because competition is so much and repetitiveness has become so much, and YouTube channels have also showed you the tricks and intelligent techniques that UPSC is saying now we will go into depths. We will take only those aspirants who have respected this examination enough to study on a regular basis and not just dependent on some magazine. Okay, so this is the level. How is it approach? How is this Nasha Mukt Bharat Abhiyan implemented? We have municipalities or below district level Nasha Mukt Bharat Committee. That comes under the district level Nasha Mukt Bharat committee, which is headed by the district magistrate. Someday it could be you. Then state level Nasha Mukt Bharat and MOSJE, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, is at the central level. It monitors your work, okay? But implementation is done through the district level committees, okay? Moving on. Consider the following statements with respect to the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. It is the first Indian launch vehicle to be equipped with liquid stages. It is known as the workhorse of ISRO. It launched India's first ever space observatory, AstroSat. So what do we have to see? How many are correct? Recently, Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle again proved that it is the workhorse of ISRO. Time after time, it has given us successful launches. And that is why, for this very reason, it has been called the workhorse of ISRO. It was for the first time ever used in 1994, and it has taken part in the launch of Chandrayaan-1 Mars orbiter mission as well, and also many other important launches. It is the first ever you can say satellite launch vehicle which is equipped with liquid stages, so that the weightage of solid fuels can be reduced. It launched India's first ever space observatory, AstroSat, as well. And it is a third generation satellite launch vehicle. Okay, so all the three are actually correct. All three will be the correct answer. Recently, the launch of PSLV C-56, which carried DSSAR satellite, has been successful. There were also 6 co-passengers, 6 other satellites that were piggybacking it. So, DSSAR, what is this? This is a 360 kg satellite which was launched and placed in near equatorial orbit. That means it will stay on the equator. And this is the reason that, we have different names for different orbits. I also covered that. The altitude at which it has been placed is 535 kilometer. And DSSAR, SAR means synthetic aperture radar. That means it will give proper satellite imagery through all weather conditions, be it day or night. This is the purpose of synthetic aperture radar, and this was developed due to partnership between DSTA and ST Engineering. Okay, moving on. See, this is the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. This is the basic development or the basic structure of it. And PSLV is the third generation launch vehicle. So you also have to remember certain things like third generation, second generation. Then only you will be able to answer such questions, because UPSC can ask us about that. Most of the things I have already covered here. And also it has earned its title the workhorse of ISRO through consistently delivering various satellites to low Earth orbit, or specifically the IRS series, and it can take up to 1750 kg of payload to sun synchronous polar orbit of 600 km satellites. That means it will synchronize itself with the movement of the Earth's movement towards the sun. And of course, these all are the important things that you will not find in books. With respect to such current affairs, government websites, ISRO's websites, these are must, okay? Then you think that where these questions are asked from. This is the reason why we conduct daily current affairs, that you do not have to waste time all the day in order to search for the correct information. Government websites are a must. Sometimes I have also found that because of lack of updation, government websites can fall behind. But we will update it for you in our daily current affairs. Now, if you like the way we teach, P2I batches we have launched, and this today is the last date of taking part in the P2I batch, which was launched on 22nd of July. Please, I personally vouch for this batch. You can take admission for Hindi, English and English, and it is going to provide you everything at one place. Mains test series, prelims test series, daily answer writing practice, current affairs module. Other than that, you will also be able to get a mains residential program. This will be for those students who are going to qualify prelims 2024. You will be called to the StudyIQ campus, where you will prepare for mains examination without any distraction. This will cost 70,000 for Hindi, English, all the batches. But if you use the code PDLive, this will be made available to you at 29,999 only. Today is the last date, and we will close our batches from tomorrow, so please do apply. Now, consider the following statements. India currently harbors 85% of the world's wild tiger population. That means not in captivity, the wild ones. Among the northeastern states, only 3 have at least 1 tiger reserve. Amangarh cannot be considered a separate tiger reserve. And Project Tiger began in 1973 from the Jim Corbett National Park. So how many statements given above is or are not correct? So first statement is totally incorrect. Recently on the International Tiger Day, it was observed that India currently harbors 75% of the tiger population in the wild. The first statement for that very reason is incorrect. Among the northeastern states, there are 3 states which actually have at least one tiger reserve. We will show you with the help of map. So second is correct, that Amangarh cannot be considered a separate tiger reserve because it's a buffer in the Jim Corbett Tiger Reserve. Third is also correct. Project Tiger began in 1973 from the Jim Corbett National Park, which was erstwhile known as the Haley National Park, right? So first incorrect, second, third and fourth. These 3 are correct. One only will be the correct answer. India's tiger population is estimated to be 3,925. And this has been an estimated annual growth. That means if we compare right now's growth to the last year, it is 6.1%, which is very, very impressive. And the minimum tiger population was there of 3,167 last year when the Prime Minister hailed the Project Tiger. And the upper limit of the tiger population is estimated to be 3,925. What is this? This means some tigers are trapped in camera. So we know that this tiger is ours and this tiger is another one, this tiger is another one. But some tigers we can find with the help of paw marks, pug marks, like that. So that is why we have camera plus camera trapped plus non-camera trapped of estimated population, which is 3,925, and the average number is 3,682 tigers. India has currently 75% of the world's wild tiger population. In the entire world, we have 75%. Alright. Now, this is Panthera tigris we are talking about, which is the Royal Bengal tiger. It has a yellow fur coat, a very thick coat, and it has black stripes. Out of 8 species of races of species that we know so far, we have the Royal Bengal tiger, which is the Indian race. It is found all across India except the northwestern part of India, but in our neighboring countries also they are found, such as Nepal, Bhutan and Bangladesh. Now moving on, if we see this map, we can find out about that particular statement as well. In the northeast, we can see Arunachal Pradesh, Assam and only Mizoram. These are the 3 states which have a tiger reserve. Other than this, not at all. We do not find tiger reserve in Sikkim, Tripura, Meghalaya, Manipur, Nagaland. These do not have a tiger reserve. When it comes to others, you can see Gujarat doesn't have a tiger reserve, and many important states of North India also do not have a tiger reserve. Alright, so that makes how many statements correct? Let's find this. This is incorrect, this is correct, okay, this is also correct, and fourth is also correct. One only will be the correct answer. Alright, let's move on and talk about the next question. Bhojapatra, Bhojpatra we can call it, is obtained from which of the following trees? Petula utilis, Abies spinro, Deodar cedar, blue pine. The correct answer to this question is option A, Betula utilis, which is also known as the Himalayan birch. It is basically a paper. It is basically acquired from the bark, and it was used in ancient times as manuscripts. Even the Mahabharata has been written on this particular Bhojpatra only. Okay. And recently in the Mann Ki Baat, the Prime Minister made note of a letter written by women of Nitimana Valley of Chamoli district, and the Prime Minister also said that there is an industry of Bhojpatra that the women are specifically interested in, and the state government is very much supportive of that. So that is why this question has been asked. The Himalayan birch, or Hindi name is Bhojpatra. When it comes to Sanskrit name, it's Bhurjapatra, and its Latin name is Betula utilis, but we can call it Himalayan birch. It's a moderate sized tree, not very big. Papery brownish white bark is found in groups at timberline in Himalayas, and it is also used to put on wounds, so that if the bleeding is too much, it will be stopped. On wounds also it can be applied. It is much used in Ayurveda, okay, and it looks something like this. Moving on, with respect to permafrost, consider the following statements. That this can be taken into consideration from the geographical perspective as well as from the perspective of science. Permafrost can be found in China. Permafrost can be found on land and below the ocean floor. Permafrost does not always form in one solid sheet. So what do we have to see? Which of the statements given above is or are correct? See, permafrost is a frozen land, and that is frozen below 0 degrees Celsius for at least 2 years. This is the basis on which we can say that it is a permafrost land. And like many other countries in northern hemisphere, China also has permafrost. So first is correct. You must be thinking that permafrost is available only on land, but below the ocean floor we can find permafrost as well. And permafrost does not always form in one solid sheet. It can be continuous as well as discontinuous. Sheet after sheet after sheet, it can be formed like that as well. So all three are actually correct. 1, 2 and 3 will be the correct answer. Scientists have recently revived a roundworm which was preserved in the permafrost since 46,000 years. And this roundworm, it has survived a condition which is known as cryptobiosis. That means in a dormant stage, if any organism is stored, it's between life and death, it is performing cryptobiosis. And this is possible if the organism can endure the complete absence of water and oxygen, or oxygen, withstand high temperature as well as freezing temperatures, and it is between death and life. Metabolic rates because of that decrease to a level which is almost negligible, cannot be detected. That means if you use your metabolism too much, heat will be given out from your body. And this is the reason that during such cryptobiosis times, to preserve heat, metabolism is almost negligent. Okay, and that is why this is really scary for us, because what if permafrost thaws in the upcoming years, which of course it is going to happen, many zombie bacteria will become alive. But the scientists did it for that purpose only, to know what can be, how can we tackle this future problem. So thawing of the ice was here in Siberia region, and the scientists took out this roundworm from there. And the roundworms were, when they were placed in a petri dish in suitable temperatures, they started wriggling. That means they showed that they are alive. Also, they were fed something, because they were like hungry since 46,000 years. So they were given water and fed Escherichia coli, which is a human gut bacterium, to help them stay alive. So such interesting features. It's almost, you feel so knowledgeable whenever you prepare for UPSC examination. That is the beauty of this examination. Take it like that. Do not feel burdened. Permafrost is permanently frozen layer of on or under earth surface, which includes solid, gravel, sand, and it is usually bound together with the help of ice. Usually remains at below 0 degrees Celsius for at least 2 years. And they can be found on land as well as below the ocean floor. It is found in areas where temperature rarely rise above freezing, which includes countries as you see on this map: North America, Greenland, Alaska, European countries specifically, and here in the Himalayas as well. Alright, so China is also included here. Moving on, permafrost thickness, it can range from 1 meter to more than 1000 meters, and studies have shown that Earth's permafrost has warmed by 6 degrees Celsius during the 20th century. They predict widespread thawing of permafrost by 2100. That is why it is important to know what these worms are capable of doing in the future. So consider the following statements. In 2022, China suffered the most due to droughts. Pakistan incurred the highest economic loss due to floods, followed by India and China. And the Northwest Arabian Sea, Philippine Sea, the seas east of Japan, the warming rates have exceeded 0.5 degrees Celsius per decade since the 1980s. So how many statements given above is or are not correct? C. The World Meteorological Organization has recently released a report in which it was suggested that Asia is the world's most disaster-prone region. We have recorded a high number of disasters, and in 2022, specifically in the Yangtze Basin, there was a drought which was not seen in the past many decades. So China was the biggest sufferer in 2022 because of droughts. Pakistan has incurred the highest economic loss due to floods, which is followed by China and India. So second statement for that very matter is incorrect. And sadly, the northwestern parts of northwestern parts of the Arabian Sea, the Philippines and seas east of Japan, they have been getting warmer, much warmer as from the global average perspective, and they have warmed 0.5 degrees Celsius per decade since the 1980s. So first is correct, second is incorrect, third is correct. Not correct, one only will be the not correct answer. We have experienced in Asia 81 weather, climate and water related disasters. It directly affected 50 million people and 5,000 got killed. Economic damages, we incurred $36 billion worth of it. The mean temperature over Asia in 2022 was about 0.72 degrees Celsius above the 1991 to 2020 average, and it was about 1.68 degrees Celsius above the 1961 to 1990 average, which is very high. Other than this, droughts ravaged most parts of Asia, but China was the heaviest bearer of the brunt with respect to Yangtze River basin, and here millions of people were affected by this drought. Pakistan received 60% of the normal total monsoon in the first just 3 weeks of the start of the 2022 monsoon season, which India has heavy rainfalls continuously lasting from May to September, in which over 2,000 deaths were recorded. It affected 1.3 million people, and disaster events caused the highest number of casualties than any other disaster. Keep this in mind because this can be asked in prelims examination. Floods have become the most important killer of disaster climate change. From 2002 to 2021 period, Pakistan incurred a loss of over $15 billion. China over $5 billion. India over $4.2 billion. Alright. Now this is the map that is going to show you Arabian Sea. Northwest Arabian Sea is the here. Northwest Arabian Sea is warming. Then Philippine Sea is warming a lot here. And seas east of Japan. Okay. So that is what we are seeing. Even it would be very important for you to know that in these regions, we are observing and a warming of 3 times faster than the global oceanic temperatures, 3 times faster. So be prepared for more such kind of disasters. Now, to cover such map series, I have the Map and Site series. I have already covered 4 classes. You can find the playlist on the StudyIQ IAS English channel. On Sunday only, I covered the last class. So you can watch that as well. It's very informative. Other than this, I also analyze very important current affairs, anything which is very important for not only prelims but also mains. I provide you 15 to 20 minutes of analysis over that as well, and you can tune into that. Now, practice question goes like, which of the following is also known as mini Brazil in India? Because of the football craze that is going on in any of these villages: Bicharpur, Nadia, Purulia, Dakshin, Dinajpur. I hope you answered it correctly so that I can take your names in the upcoming class. Thank you so much for watching.
StudyIQ IAS. अब तैयारी हुई अफोर्डेबल।